We are rolling. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Signs of Mind 102 now at Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. It is December 3rd, 2018, where we are. Wherever you are, I'm glad you're here. We always begin in treatment. And what I know is that there is one infinite, absolute, self-existent cause. It is magnificent. It is abundant. It is joy and love and health and wholeness. It is that energy of creation. It is life itself. It is love and light, and whatever it is all that there is and more. Because whatever it is, it created out of itself and became that which it created. So it is the infinite which contains all form. It is the timeless which holds time. And I know that since it became that which it created, then all that it is at the point of that creation. And so I look at myself as a point of creation of spirit, and I know that the entirety of the divine is present right where I am. That I am connected through this divine mind to everywhere and every when and everyone. That I'm connected to even that which goes beyond time and space. So I open up this evening to that incredible creative power that is what I am right now. And I know that my focus creates my life. And so I focus clearly. I see as God sees. I see perfection. I see spirit. I see health and wholeness, prosperity, love, joy, success of all kinds. And I know that that focus opens the door for that manifestation to occur in my life. And I know for those in this class that they are the perfect manifestation of spirit as them, and as such, everyone has more than enough. Everyone is healthy, happy, and whole. Everyone is getting exactly what they need to out of this class, because all is in perfect and divine order. And so with great gratitude and thanksgiving, I simply release this treatment. Happy to be able to be a part of Science of Mind 102. Happy to be a part of Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. Happy to be a part of the spreading of these teachings around this world. And I simply turn it over into the heart of spirit, the mind of spirit, and the body of spirit, because I truly know that it's all spirit. As together we say, and so it is. Come on in.
Can I ask real quick, was last week the first week of 102, or is that this week?
The homework was for class 8, which is the first week of 102. So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. I always lecture a week ahead so that when you're reading you feel smart instead of wading through things and not really getting it and then picking it apart in class. So I like to give you just general heads up of what the curriculum is going to be. So if you're reading it and going, well, duh, I know that. That's exactly what I want. That being said, does anybody have any questions about the reading this week? Anything that you were pondering? RJ.
It actually goes back to last week, and I'm not being argumentative, like an argumentative treatment, but you had made a statement that one really does not have to do a good treatment or say the right words or even believe it, I thought, for a treatment to take place.
You don't. You can be at 51% belief, and you can be less than that and have a practitioner or someone stand in that belief with you.
But isn't belief the core of what makes it happen? You have to have a belief behind it for it to manifest.
You don't have to have 100% belief, and you won't keep it long if you don't work on your belief. But sure, you can manifest anything. There are some very screwed up people who are master manifestors. And the reason that we have practitioners is so that when I don't feel like I can believe it, we have people walk in the door directly from the doctor's office where they were given a diagnosis that was dire. They don't believe. They're saying, somebody help me. I want to believe. Help me believe. And what we do is we join in consciousness, because there's only one. So a practitioner can stand in consciousness with you and help you manifest this. But one of the reasons I keep pushing to hour-long sessions is that what they also do is help you develop that belief. Look at what your blocks are, look at what your hidden beliefs are, look at what your fears are, and turn those around. Instead of the 1-minute miracle is just the treatment. The treatment's great for manifesting, but if you want to have a lasting change in your life, you're going to have a lasting change in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your beliefs about how life works. But yes, some people think, oh, I've got to be all enlightened before I can manifest anything, and that's just not true. You can just say something over and over and over again, and you'll create it. That's why some people, they say things that they don't really want, but they're being unconscious. Life is hard, life is hard, life is hard, life is hard, and then they get life is hard. Well, do you really believe life is hard? Well, not really, but I kind of got caught up in this deal, and that's what I created. So, again, Thursdays with the practitioners here gives you a 1-hour session so that you can really delve into yourself and look at healing some of those limiting beliefs that have kept us from having what we want. But we don't have to wait to have more than enough money, to have a physical healing, to have great experiences and wonderful relationships, to be all holy and spiritual and enlightened and getting it all together. We can start right where we are. And the trick is, though, is you're not going to keep it if you don't change what's going on inside of you. But there's no reason to not have what you need right now just because you're not completely healed. If that were the case, we'd all be in trouble. Was that enough?
Yeah, I guess I still think that, belief has to get the core of it. What you're saying, you don't have to be at 100%. You don't have to be Harrison Ford stepping out over the...
You can be at 51%, and that tips the scales. But even if you're not there, if you have a practitioner working with you, knowing that with you, then that tips the scales and the manifestation occurs. But like I said, once the practitioner withdraws that consciousness and you're left on your own, if you don't do some changing inside of yourself, you're going to recreate that same situation over and over and over again. And that's one of the things that practitioners learn, is when the client has come back for the 3rd time for the same thing, then there needs to be an element of teaching going on and not just the treatment. Breezy.
As part of this, included in that intention,
Sure.
in with the belief, because you may not believe something, but you intend for something to happen, yada yada, as far as...
Sure, we're all just doing the best that we can, including remembering to turn the mic on, yes. And whatever word you use to get that energy moving, whether it's intention, whether it's acceptance, whether it's belief, whatever word you're using, you're creating a vibrational alliance with that which you want. And anything that's going to cut that energy off, like I don't deserve it, or it's impossible, or I've got to wait 10 more years to have that, anything that's going to cut that energy off, you want to look at shifting. Because we can have everything right here and now. Any other questions? Okay, treatment demonstrations from last week. You're watching out for your demonstrations, you're looking for them, you are writing them down, your treatment demonstrations. I have to say goodbye to my dangly earrings. Jane.
I have a radio that I listen to in the morning, and I never could understand what they were saying. But Amanda treated for my hearing, and so I turned on the radio, and lo and behold, I was hearing every word.
Yay! Yay!
Wonderful treatment.
We have had a number of hearing healings in this center.
Oh my!
I remember Nancy Peavy got peeved after her hearing completely restored, because she said the world is so loud, and she's got to get rid of these clocks in her house that go tick, 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 tick.
I didn't have that trouble, but I was listening to the radio, and then I suddenly thought to myself, I'm hearing every word that this, what's
Yay.
going on, and
Good
I
for you.
realized it was for treatment.
So if anyone has any health issues, you wanna go see Amanda?
Oh, buddy.
Who else? Steve?
I don't know if this qualifies, but, so one of my treatment partners was talking about how Breezy did such a great job for her with the treatments in the previous week. So then I felt like I wasn't really, so we kind of had our conversation on treatment. That was kind of weak. So so I said, well, I don't want to be outdone by Breezy. No, I'm just kidding. Not sure. But, so I kind of went and back and said, I'm going to go ahead and write the best treatment in the world. So I went, got my books out and all this stuff. I said, I'll just copy it and then modify it some. Just like doctor it up or semi-plagiarism type stuff of what's already there. And I said, well, but then I was getting through there and two things happened. So then I was kind of going through all this stuff and it's like, wow, this is pretty, I can feel this energy doing this, just studying it or whatever you want to call it. And then it was like kind of cool. So then I sat down on the computer and started typing stuff up and I didn't have to look at anything. And it all just came out.
Came out of you.
And it was wow.
That's the best treatment.
Yeah.
That's the best treatment, is the one that comes out of you. Good, good, yeah, yeah.
Good. Cool.
Who else? Demonstrations. Arden.
Karen and I did treatments last week, and we're both glad Thomas at it, but, I found that in a week, I was in a much more comfortable body than I had been.
Yay, yay. Even if you are not an expert, even if you may not have the right words, you can still set your intention, accept a change, and have a shift happen. Good for you, good for you. Ernest used to have the old ranchers out in California treat over their cattle. Speak the word over the flock, over the herd.
Word over the herd.
Word over the herd. Anybody else? Jack?
Ann treated for me for my class last Wednesday too. I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but it would really benefit the folks who showed up. And from my perspective, I thought it went really well. I have no objective measurement of that though, so I assume it was good. That
Good.
felt good for me.
Good, I've heard a lot of rave reviews about that
That's good to know.
And they did ask for
EFT class.
They did ask for an advanced class too. So that should be some positive.
Didn't what?
They wanted to have a 102 or.
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
advanced.
I wanted to have another class in the spring.
Great,
I said, yeah, let's do more of this.
yeah, good, good, good,
That was evidence, I guess.
good demonstrations. Ernest says that as long as your life is getting a little bit better every day, you're on the right track. So we don't have to be enlightened, we don't have to have everything happen all at once. What we're doing is we're growing, we're expanding, we're accepting more, we feel better, we have better relationships, the day goes smoother, we've got more money, we're just happier. Those are all good signs of using this teaching to create your life that gets better and better. And honestly, I have not seen anybody who actually comes here and does what we teach, whose life has not gotten very discernibly better. There are some people who come and they don't do what we teach. There are some people who don't come, but they say that they're a part of this center. And then a year or so they'll show up and go, everything fell to pieces. Well, you didn't come. You didn't come. Or everything fell to pieces. Well, you're not doing it. So if you come and if you practice, if you think about what you're thinking about, if you monitor what you speak, if you look at what you're believing about life, what you're accepting, what you're creating, if you accept responsibility for being cause to your effect, then your life will get better. It will get visibly better. It will get discernibly better. And I have not seen it ever, ever, ever fail. I had people in this room who were homeless and their lives got better. They would go out and sleep in their car in the parking lot, and their lives got better. We've had people in this room who were told they were dying, and their lives got better. So I've seen it happen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, that as long as we're going in a more positive direction, we're going to have more positive experiences. And then people say, well, I don't wanna wait. Well, that's your problem. That's your ego, doesn't wanna wait. What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? You got someplace to go other than this life? No. So what we're focusing on is continuing to be mindful, to continue to think about what we're thinking about and take positive direction in our lives, and great stuff happens. And like Arden said, you don't have to be an expert at this to have your body get better. It's great. Any other questions or comments? Hi, David Mark.
Right. Susan was treating that the work on our house, the removal of our roof over the garage, which was to start the next day, would go smoothly and well. And it turned out that the framers didn't show up, and they didn't show up. And the contractor had to go out and find another set of workers. And they showed up this morning, and the roof's off and it's already half back on, and it's going very well.
So you were coming into alignment with your perfect and right framers.
I think there's even more to that, because actually, as it turned out, last week was not very favorable weather-wise to have a roof off of your structure and so forth. So it's that, and the demonstration's in process, so I'll let you know how it turns out.
Yay, good, good, good. I always am grateful for closed doors. I take closed doors as wonderful guidance. And I'd rather have the door closed in front of me, like the framers don't show up, they don't show up, they don't show up. That's a closed door, than go down the path where it's not gonna work out. Thank you for saving me all of this time, consciousness, so that I'm not doing what is not gonna be in alignment with my highest and best, in harmony and balance and peace and joy and all of that good stuff. If that's not gonna demonstrate that way, if it's gonna be struggle and suffering and problems, shut the door. And let me go look for something else, because it's not that one, because the door is closed. Sometimes people come in, they're all frustrated that the door is closed. No, be grateful that the door is closed. The sooner the better. I say that with relationships too. The sooner the door closes on that, the better, because you can go and be in relationship with someone that's more in alignment with you than wasting, for some people, decades and lifetimes trying to make something work that's not there. So, yay for closed doors and framers that aren't right, not showing. I'm all about that. Anything else? I was all caught up watching the Bush stuff.
What stuff?
The George Bush, when they brought him into the rotunda. I just love all of that pomp and circumstance and ceremony, and the precision of the military with their,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I just love that. They're so choreographed. It's a very slow motion dance, but it's definitely a dance. And it's nice to see everybody on the same page for once. It's been a while.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going over the chapter 12 on spiritual mind healing, which I believe is a summary. That's going to be your reading for tonight. It's the summary of part 2. It's very short, but it kind of hits all the hot spots that we've been going over. Remember, when you're doing spiritual mind treatment, you've got to have this sense that it's doing something. That there's a oneness that it's based on. That there's a connection between us. That's why the practitioner can treat the practitioner, and the person, the client that's being treated, doesn't have to be there. As we were talking about with RJ, they don't even have to particularly believe that much. Although usually if they've come to someone for treatment, they're open. They may be frantic and afraid and overwhelmed, and so they're having trouble being positive and being in full belief, but the practitioner is connected to that. So there's this idea of oneness, again, that everything in this teaching goes back to, that we are all connected, that there is some kind of a thing that we call universal mind, the mind of God, the presence of the divine spirit, whatever kind of word you want to use on it, but that something happens when we set that law in motion. When we use our thoughts to focus on something, something happens. And because we are all one, then we can focus between each other, because the entirety is manifest at the point, and that spirit is manifest at every point in its entirety, then not only are we touching each other, but we are each other. And that's why it gets really important in how you see people in your world. We talked about the first grade class or the kindergarten class, and how the teachers saw the kids became that way. I've seen perfectly good marriages fall apart because one party just got lazy in looking for the good in the other person. And then the other person got mad, and all of a sudden, there goes wonderful love, history, possible future, and everybody's in their perfect and right place, and everything that happens is exactly what needs to happen. But sometimes it seems like we waste a lot of time because we're not mindful of what we're putting out, and that's what we get back. So when we do a spiritual mind treatment, and this section is on healing, the first thing to get is that my word has power. That it doesn't go out null and void. That something happens to my word or my thought. If you're an introvert, you're doing your treatment silently, my word or my thought, and it's picked up and carried, it touches, the energy starts to flow. However you want to think about it, doesn't really matter, because frankly, I'm not sure we know what happens to energy when it goes into the manifestation process, but something happens. And to know that our word has power more than the word of the doctor, the x-ray, the diagnosis, the bankruptcy, the letter in the mail, the rejection, the family genetics, whatever that is, that our word has more power than that. That's the beginning point of being able to do spiritual mind treatment and having healing result. If you go into spiritual mind treatment and go, oh, well, this is just shouting down a canyon and nothing's happening with me saying this, you're not going to be a very effective healer. If you go into treatment and go, oh, and this is something that happens even today, I have to have the person agreeing, or their belief has to be wide open so that they can accept their healing. I've heard many a practitioner cop out on the reason their treatment didn't demonstrate by blaming the client, that the client couldn't accept it. The client wasn't ready. The client wasn't open enough. That's all a crock. What is known, truth known, demonstrates instantly. Instantly. So if the practitioner is knowing the truth, that demonstrates in that client's life instantly, because there's only one, because we're all connected, because my word is setting spiritual law in motion, and something happens to that, and it manifests. And when I focus it on RJ, then my mind and RJ's mind, my life force and RJ's life force, however you want to describe it, are one and the same. And so what I know inside of me about RJ is demonstrated in RJ's life. RJ could be in great pain, and I could demonstrate for him, and the pain can go away. People can be in great fear. That's what practitioners do. They don't deal with people while they're at their best. People don't go to a practitioner when they've got it all together. They go to the practitioner usually as a last resort. They go to practitioners desperate. They go to practitioners crying and afraid. And that's when the practitioner stands so clearly on what they know that it supersedes and overrides the consciousness of the moment of the client. Not necessarily their whole consciousness, but in that moment, they're freaking out. So the practitioner can actually overlay that onto the client, and the client gets a demonstration. You know, the house was about to sell, and now they got a phone call that the people have pulled out, and I've made all these plans, I've already moved, or I've already bought some, you know, just all of this, oh my God, what's happening, it's so horrible. No, 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 the practitioner is so clear inside of themselves that when they know that trained thought overrides the temporary freak out of the client. That's how it works. But the practitioner has to know that their word has power. Their word has more power than that event. Their word has more power than the emotions that are going on in that person. And because of this idea of oneness, that when we speak truth, something happens. And I don't think anybody really knows how the manifestation process happens, but that energy goes out and it does something. It's picked up by this universal creative flow. It's picked up by the process of life itself, and something happens to it that we can then see, we can pick it up, we can hold it in our hand. This isn't a fluffy teaching. If you can't hold it in your hand, or if you can't see it and point to it, it didn't demonstrate yet. If you don't feel better, then that treatment hasn't demonstrated yet. And Ernest says if it hasn't demonstrated yet, your job is to keep treating until it demonstrates. That it's not, oh, I'm just going to pretend that things are good when they're not. That's not the teaching at all. The teaching is that the doctor will see it and change the file. That the bank account will show it. That things will happen. But it's all based on this idea that our word has power. That's why I go around sometimes, especially in the offices, and stop people in the middle of conversations and say, don't talk about that. Not here. Stop it. Or just one word, language. And I don't mean swearing. I mean stinking thinking, negativity, upset, language. Our word has power. And the power seems to be connected to all that there is and does stuff so that after the word is spoken, things happen. When you have that belief that really you're in charge of your life and that you can have circumstances change, then you've got a good foundation for being able to do spiritual healing for other people or for yourself so that you can speak your word, know the truth, and have the demonstration no matter what. And we've had so many cool things happen. One of my favorite things we do here is regrow kidneys.
The what?
We regrow kidneys.
Oh,
Last year we had 2 people who were told by their doctors that they were in renal failure. And they came here and they both had refused dialysis. Said, if I'm in renal failure, I'm just gonna go. I'm not doing dialysis, I'm not gonna do that. And inside of 2 weeks, both of those people had their tests again and their kidneys were working perfectly. I leaned heavily on that when I succumbed to going into allopathic medicine, which I resisted for decades. And they said, oh, you're in chronic kidney disease stage 3A. We're not talking about dialysis yet. I said, we're not talking about dialysis at all. We're not going there. And I leaned on that going, I know that this stuff works. That it works to the level where you can see it, you can test it, you can know that it's true. And inside of 4 months, I had my blood work done again and my kidneys were working perfectly. So when we have that idea that this stuff really does work, that we can speak the word and have things change, then we get that faith and that trust that we talked about a couple of weeks ago in knowing that something is happening. Knowing that we have the ability to steer the energy, the creative force of life, and we can actually make a change in our world. I'm trying not to flip into Michael Jackson from yesterday. Make a change, make a change. So what we want to do is we want to have this sense of faith that something can be done. I'm sure that everybody has been in the position in the past of nothing can be done, right? How helpless and hopeless is that? But something can be done, something can change. The only thing constant is change, that everything is constantly shifting and recreating, and that that's always an effect, and the effect must have a cause, so we can change the cause and change the effect. And whether it happens just like that or it happens in process really doesn't matter because it's happening. One of the reasons we like to have people get up on stage and talk about how diagnoses change, how things are completely different, is so that when other people are in that circumstance, they can go, oh, wait a minute, Susan was talking about that, and it just completely changed. Wow, maybe something can change for me. At that point, the rigidness of all is lost, nothing can be done begins to crack. And then you crack that open and go, well, it happened for her, it's possible it could happen for me, something could happen, there could have been a mistake, and there's got to be something better to this. And then you start to think, well, there's an intelligence and a wisdom inside of my body. Every time I get cut, I heal. Every time a bone breaks, it heals. The liver regenerates, our body regenerates and renews itself and regrows itself all the time. I think that there's a power and a presence within me that can handle this. And you may go to a practitioner or you may read some books and get that faith built up, but we start to have a sense of, yes, that's an event, that's an experience in my life, but it doesn't define me, it doesn't limit me, that I am in charge of that experience because that experience is an effect of me. Whether I know how I did it or not, that's an effect and I am cause. So if I change my cause, if I start putting on a happy face, talking about all of the good things in life instead of all the bad things in life, talking to my body, setting that intention, that acceptance, and that knowing in motion, then things will change. And they do. It's the most wonderful thing. Your body feels better in a week. In a week. And there are so many people who are locked into this idea that says, we're all getting older, we're all going to feel worse and worse and worse until we die. It happened, it was an accident X number of years ago, it's in my genetic makeup. People are so locked up into that idea that says this is the way it is, and if it changes, it's only going to get worse. No! This is only the way that it is because this is what I put there. And my word has power. I'm connected to all that is. There's a wisdom and intelligence of health and wholeness that is in every cell of my body and every cell in everybody else's body. And when I speak my word, things happen. I've seen it happen before. I've heard stories from other people. I know that this can shift. Then we start developing faith. We start getting this sense of, well, I'm not so easy to be knocked around by the events in life. I've got a more solid core to me so that I can see things happening, but it doesn't determine who I am. It doesn't say what I can and cannot have. That I'm separate from that event in that I'm the one who chooses what events are in my life. So when we have that kind of faith, and we start, and not a faith in an outside God, remember that, it's not that somebody is going to swoop into our life and save us, but a faith that we are creating our experience and anything is possible. Anything is possible. When we have that kind of faith, we start getting more solid in this idea that my word has power. When I speak my word, something happens. There's a creative process going on constantly in my world, in my body, in the body of my affairs, and that I can impact that. And then we start getting our feet under us, getting a solid foundation to be able to have someone say, oh my gosh, they told me that I was going to be dead in 3 months. What am I going to do? Well, you're not dead yet, so let's start there. And you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to do that. You're a choice in your life. And life is eternal, and there's a wisdom inside of your body, and health and wholeness is your divine birthright, and then people get better. And sometimes it shows up as the doctor says, well, we must have had a mistake in the lab tests. There must have been a mistake in the original diagnosis, because people don't just spontaneously heal. Well, of course they do. We spontaneously heal all the time. Every time we get a cold, every time we get something, like I love the idea of cutting. If we weren't born to heal, we'd have every cut that we ever got. We'd have every bruise, we'd have every break, we'd have every problem that we'd ever had in our life, we would still have it. But our bodies are made to heal. And so just knowing that there's an intelligence inside of us that is made to heal. I love the phrase, I was born to heal. You were born to heal. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. and to know that that's already here, that you don't have to make it, you don't have to go out and get it and shove it in your cells and your bones and your systems, that it's already in there, that what we're doing is we're simply acknowledging what's already here. Then we start getting this idea that, wait a minute, health and wholeness is already here. And that's one of the big steps in treatment. That you're not trying to put health and wholeness in yourself or someone else. That you're simply seeing that which is already there. You're opening out a way for the imprisoned splendor to show up, as Robert Browning said. You're seeing the truth of the situation beyond the world of effects. And seeing Ernest said that there's a spiritual man, because he was very, he was using the gender of the day. There's a spiritual man who has never been sick, who has never been afraid, who has never lacked anything. There is a spiritual self of us that has never been touched by any lack or limitation or disease or malfunction of any kind. And that getting to that awareness, getting to know that part of us, lets that be more and more dominant in our life. In some of the places in the textbook, Ernest says all you have to do in treatment is to know that the person that you're treating for is spirit. And that, like last week, would be a realization treatment. God is, I am, and so it is. God is, Amanda is, and so it is. That all there is spirit, I am spirit, Amanda is pure, perfect spirit in every way. And to get clear about that heals, changes form, changes circumstances, and allows that, it doesn't even heal. Ernest said there's nothing to heal, only truth to be revealed. It allows the truth, the health, and the wholeness that is already there to show up. Because we've taken the limiting bushel baskets off of our light. They say turn away from condition. Why do you turn away from the condition? Because if you focus on the condition, what are you going to get?
The condition.
You're going to get the condition. You're going to get more of the condition. And so we have to train ourselves to pull. It's such it's seductive at times. Oh, the pain. Oh, the drama. Oh, the upset. Not to mention that then you couple that with the biochemical drug factory that we have going on inside of ourselves, so that when we get upset, we secrete adrenaline and we get high and we can be addicted to that drama adrenaline rush. When you couple it with that, then it's very tempting to look at the condition. David Mark.
Actually, I think there's much more to the condition than that, really. The condition is something that already is. It is, in essence, really the past.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really do anything with that. So that by looking at the condition, you're really looking at the past. If you're looking at the past, you can't do anything, because the only place that anything happens is in the present. That's where all change takes place. That's where everything happens. That's where all thought happens. That's where all activity happens. So that the condition is not at that point. The condition is in the past. The condition is over with. And
old news.
Right.
Fear is in the future. The condition is in the past. You've got to be able to pull your thought away from both of those.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to. Actually, with respect to that, faith and gratitude are exactly the same thing. They are a mental attitude. They're a mental attitude. Faith is a mental attitude towards something that has not yet taken place or you do not yet have. Gratitude is a mental attitude to that which you already have or already has taken place. And a mental attitude is a present state of mind, so that faith and gratitude are states of mind that try to bring the past and the present, the past and the future into the present here and now, because that's the only place that the absolute is. That's the only place that anything happens. So that in reality, they're really the same thing.
I am so gonna steal this. Instead of having fear be your futuring, have faith be your futuring. And instead of focusing on the condition that you don't like be your past, have gratitude be your past.
Right.
And instead of fear and focusing on what you don't want pulling you out of the now moment, faith and gratitude will drop you in it. When you all hear me say that, you'll go, she stole that from David Mark.
He got it from
Not really,
someplace too.
that's just the way it is.
It's great. It's great stuff. Developing faith is so important because then you've got something to stand on. The winds of fate don't knock you over when you have faith, because you know that I've been down this road before, that things have always worked out. Even if people pass, they work out. People are fine. People left here, they're upset. That everything has always worked out, that I've got what it takes, I can get help. You know, like the argumentative treatment, we sometimes have to work ourselves into pulling back from freak out into breathing and relaxing and looking around for alternatives, pulling ourselves back into the now moment, which is the only place you can create from, maybe asking for help from someone else, and all of a sudden, instead of going down the same road we've gone down before because we were focusing on the past, then we have an opportunity to create a whole new life. And that comes from pulling ourselves away from the drama, pulling ourselves away from the fear, and being able to breathe and calm down and think about what it is we want and how we want to create that in our lives. Not from, oh, I created this mess, you better get off your spiritual butt and create something better, but now just a minute, I don't need to go there, I can, back up, I can rethink this, I can have a second thought, I can look at this again. And again, that's why, especially in a first year class, that's why it's so important to see practitioners, because they give you another option. They give you another viewpoint, so that you can look at things differently, and so that someone can help you. So often we feel like, okay, my life is a reflection of my consciousness. I am all alone in this. And it's not true, because we're all in this together. We're creating our reality. I'm creating my reality, but I'm not creating it alone, because I and you are the same us. Ophia.
Something between what he said and you said, that I wrote out somehow, growing up with like PTSD and depression and anxiety, the idea, what I wrote was relax back into the comfort of the present. And like that idea has never been real for me. Like, and thinking of the idea of like, no, it's comfortable being like where I am. Just, thank you, that's fair.
Yes, you're not a child anymore. You can relax into the comfort of the now moment, because truly everything is fine. Not only that, everything is pretty good. Getting better and better and better. If you feel tired after you're giving a treatment, what happened?
Something happened.
You're not, I'll give you a clue. You're not supposed to feel tired after you give a spiritual mind treatment. Susan.
I think something is pulling from you rather than you're taking in that good energy.
When you do a treatment, you're in alignment with some amazing energy, and it fills you up. Some people can't do treatment before they go to sleep because they can't get to sleep. They're so full of energy. So if you're feeling depleted and, oh, I'm working so hard at this treatment stuff, then that's not coming from a high place. That's coming from a low place. That's coming from a place of, oh, how did it sound? Did I use the right words? Am I good enough? If I focus really hard, can I just make it happen? And the truth is you can make it happen, but it's exhausting, and all you're making happen is that which is in alignment with this instead of that. So check yourself out. If you're feeling tired, you're putting a lot of personal responsibility on yourself, and that's not it. We want to catch the high wave and fly in our treatments. We want to be lifted up and carried into this cosmic awareness of oneness and perfection, of wholeness and joy. We want to have tears come out of our eyes from happiness. We want to have that energy of being filled and overflow and bring whoever we're treating for in there with us and have that healing show up. And it's not on our back. That's why when people come up to me and say, oh, you saved my life, like, I didn't save your life. You know, I might have done a treatment for you, but that wasn't me, and you did your life. I'm just over here in Asheville, North Carolina, doing my thing. Wasn't me. If it's me, I'm gonna be in big trouble, because then I'm gonna have to save the next person's life, save the next person's life, save the next person's life, and before you know it, I'm gonna be overwhelmed and exhausted and depressed. I'm not gonna be any good at what I do anymore. It's not me, but what we do is we aim high. We aim for the perfection and the wholeness of all, the presence of the divine, knowing that all is well right here and right now, pulling ourselves away from the condition or the story of the past, focusing on this now moment. That's what we aim for, and there's incredible energy in that. It's energy that's joyous, that's open and free, that lifts you up, energy that can keep you awake at night. And that's what you're aiming for. Don't burden yourself with, now I've got to prove that I can manifest this. I have treated for lost keys for decades. And usually when someone comes up to me or calls me and wants me to treat for their keys, there's this little voice that says, I wonder if it's going to work this time. And I have to set that aside and go, I know there's nothing lost in divine mind, including blah, blah, blah. I know that it's here. I claim it. I call it forth. I accept it. I give thanks for it, and so it is. And I've done that thousands and thousands of times. It always shows up, whatever it is. Sometimes it shows up before I get the treatment out of my mouth. Sometimes it shows up months later. But it always shows up. And when I feel like, oh, I don't know if it worked. How are they going to feel? I'm supposed to find stuff. That's my job. I am the one who finds lost keys. You know, Barbara, St. Barbara, finder of lost keys. When I come at it from that point of view, I'm not doing very good. But when I can do the treatment and then literally forget about them, then sometime in the future they say it worked. Or I get a phone call where before you even got it out of your mouth, someone's handing you your keys, and I didn't even have anything to do with it anymore. Susan.
So when you have that, maybe it won't happen this time voice, your history, or the history of having it show up, that works in your favor.
Sure. And that's just my ego. Because I want to impress who's ever come to me for that. I want to be superwoman and be able to just manifest lost keys out of thin air. Say, look, you love me now? You love me now? What else can I do? Make sure you love me now. It's all neurotic. But it does help to know that, well, for the last, 2,000 times it worked, so maybe just chill.
Because I have a very active, but maybe this time it won't, or this is the time
It's called
that.
critic.
It's
Very
called
active critic.
It's called fear for me, yeah. I make lists, of what has worked. You said everything in the past. When you said that, I just wrote down a whole bunch of organs that I, could have volunteered for them to, okay, take my this, take my that. It was like, no, I couldn't see that in my life is happening, and I refused. And then I got treatments and whatever, but it was like, no, I'm not doing that, including the latest one. No, I'm not going to do that. But it always comes, I won't say always, it's a strong voice within me. That is the voice of doubt.
And that's where argumentative treatment comes in, like we talked about last week. So that when that voice of doubt comes in, whether you're doing a full-fledged treatment or it's just passing by, giving you a little shot well, that's not gonna work. You can go, no, of course it's already worked. It's already happened. I'm already in the future and it's already done. And just take the energy away from that part of you.
And I find that asking for help at that time, support, call in the troops and get support. And I call you, I call a practitioner, I read the book, whatever it is. It's, David's been great to work with.
It's
like,
what we
help
do.
me in my unbelief or my temporary unbelief.
I believe, help me, mine unbelief, whatever
Right.
the phrase is, yeah.
Right.
And the fact that we don't have 30 anymore, but we've got like 25 practitioners. They live for doing treatment for you. They long. We have people on Thursdays that are just sitting here hoping somebody walks in the door to come for treatment. That they have taken time out of their life to sit here and wait. I'm amazed sometimes that we don't use our practitioners more, and I'm actively trying to change our culture to where we use our practitioners a lot more. They love to do treatment for people. They love to do treatment for people so much that they go off to World Ministry of Prayer, and a number of our practitioners now have the phone for, if you call World Ministry of Prayer, you get them at certain times during the week. And they do treatment for our website, people on our website. They love to do that because when you're really clear and you're riding that high wave of energy of creation, it feels fantastic. It feels fantastic. And so what we want to do is we want to ask for help. We want to avail ourselves of that. We want to heal. We want to grow. We want to get better. We want to demonstrate better lives. And we do it together because none of us is alone. Because there's only one means that we are all the one. We are all the same. Oneness doesn't mean sameness. So we are all points of the same light. I mean, we're not identical. That would be so boring. But the fact that we can reach out and ask for help. The fact that people, even today, are selling their houses and moving to Asheville so that they can be a part of the group here. It's fascinating to me. And anytime somebody tells me that they're doing that, a part of me goes, I hope it all works out. Well, of course it's going to work out. It's been working out for years and years. People have moved here, and they're glad that they did, so that we can be in this together, so that we can lend helping hands to each other, so that we can see each other as the highest and best that is conceivable in us. And then that lifts us up, and it lifts the other people up. If you're going through this feeling critical about yourself, like you're not doing it right, like you're not good enough, like you've got to work harder at it, you're missing the boat. This is much more about being a joyous experience that results in health and wholeness and healing and happiness than we got to work long and hard hours at this. So what I want to encourage you to do is, if you start to feel pressured in your treatment, raise your vibrations, raise your sights up to all of the things that have already been done. If it's ever happened, it can happen now, and if it's never happened, it's yours to start. That's all. And then you start feeling really good. Treatment feels good. If it's not feeling good, then there's something that's holding you down in the realm of pressure and criticism and all of those other things. Jane.
I have an unfortunate talent to fantasize, and so that just bypasses. So if I'm not spiritually, awake or enough to realize, that I'm a child of God and this and that, I can make it up. I can make up stuff out of my mind, which makes me very comfortable and happy, and I just love it. But it's
Excellent.
But it's like a bypass from
I don't know that it's a bypass.
from belief.
I don't know that. There's more than one believer in you.
There's what?
More than one believer in you.
Well, I hope so.
Which one are you going to give your energy to? The one that says I'm not spiritual enough? or the one that says, no, I'm gonna go into this story and create this wonderful experience of myself. I personally would pick the second one.
Yeah, well, I do, I invent all these wonderful, funny, terrific moods, but I don't think that they advance my spiritual,
Oh, I do.
You do?
I think that when you invent wonderful moods, it advances your spiritual growth, absolutely. What do you think spiritual growth is for?
Well, it's for growing an awareness of.
And the awareness is happiness and joy. Love, safety.
Oh, rather than making up stuff all the
You
time.
can make up stuff, we're all making it all up.
Make up our
We are making it all up all the time, right here and right now.
We are
You're
living
a
dream.
writer that refuses to write.
Yep.
And so you make up all these stories inside of your head.
I was gonna say
So you go from, I'm not spiritually aware enough to be happy to, I'm just gonna make up this story where I'm happy and joyous, oh, I feel so much better. But then guilt comes in and says, oh, but Jane, you shouldn't be doing that. You're supposed to grow spiritually, you just did.
Oh. Well, okay, so.
Okay, so this is a crash course in practitioner class. You are all wonderful treatment people. You're getting demonstrations. You're feeling better. You have a good basic understanding of treatment and the hows and the whys that we think it works. Honest to God, we don't know why it works, but we know that it works. We know that at some point the energy of thought, or the energy before the thought, if thought ends up being an effect and not a cause, but I can't put my hand on that cause, so I'll keep thought as cause. The energy of thought manifests in our lives, and that we have personally seen the impossible happen. So the sky's the limit for you. How big can you believe? How open can you be? How much can you ask for help when you need help and accept that you are worthy of having that help and being loved and being lifted? And then just watch your life demonstrate. Watch money show up, watch your body heal, watch your relationships get better, watch opportunity come knocking. You wake up happy in the morning and filled with energy for another great day. It happens over and over and over again when you get a hold of your thinking, getting a hold of your speaking, because your word has more power than any circumstance in your life, because as David Mark said, the conditions in your life are the past, they're gone. You're at total control over what you're going to manifest and demonstrate in this now moment. So it's your job to get a hold of all of that creative power that's going on and focus it on where you want to be. And then watch the demonstrations happen. You're all healed. Anything else? Let's take a break. Please eat food. Find your treatment partners. Do treatment, and then we'll come back after the break. Come back. Energy in this room when you guys are working is amazing. It's just wonderful. So how are your treatments going? Some of you get done very quickly. Efficient treatment work. Are you feeling confident? Good.
something to work with.
How about those of you receiving treatment? Are you feeling like you're getting what you're asking for?
Yes.
Sure.
Good.
Totally. Absolutely.
If you're not, it's on you to speak up. So if you ask for a red Mercedes-Benz and someone treats for you for a job, you may want to clear that up. Because people who do treatment usually get lost in it, and they think that they're treating exactly for what you said, and if you're going, no, that's not really what I meant, then it's your job to speak up and to ask for another treatment. To say, really, I may have said that, but really what I want is this, or something like that. Why do I make noise?
It could be loose. you go.
Hello? Am I on?
Yeah.
So, do you have anything to share about your treatment work? Does anybody else just tune into the room?
What?
Oh.
Try that. After you're done with your treatment, just tune into the room. It's really cool in here.
I feel a tingle.
Mhm.
Oh, you know, it's just, you know, it feels like one of those, things, you know, when I was a kid, I used to put my hands through those little voltage things. You know, it's harmless.
Screwdriver in the wall?
No, it's harmless, you know. We had science in school, you know, but it feels like a tingle.
It is a tingling. Good. Anybody else feel anything? Susan?
I said to David and Mark, and I say it often, I just feel such gratitude and just love. I mean, I feel the tangible love and the gratitude of us who are here working together and just being here. So, and whatever fills the space, I just feel that I'm absorbing it.
Mhm. Well, since we're all one, we're all getting every treatment that is being given. Oh, Jane liked that. That's why practitioners like to treat for you, because it's bring it on. They're going to get everything that they treat for. Any other sharing? Okay, take out what you're gonna give. Those of you watching online, I have been corrected. On your YouTube page, if you go to the upper right corner of the screen, there is a little P for PayPal. And if you click that, it will take you to our PayPal account, and you too can contribute to the spreading of these universal principles all around the world. Whatever you give, we're grateful for that. And if you're in a position where you're learning how to create money, then keep watching and I'll teach you how. It is something I do very well. And so what I know is that Spirit being all in all, as all, is abundance beyond our wildest dreams. I know that we are created out of this energy of more than enough, of prosperity, of blessing, of overflowing good, that it is who and what we are. And so I claim for each one of us that we have more than enough in our lives, that not only are all bills paid and cleared, but that everything that we want, we have. I know that we live the rich life. We have more than enough to do whatever it is that we choose to do in life. We are loved, we are supported, and we are blessed. And so I know that as we give this gift today, that gift comes from our fullness, and it continues to spread the consciousness of abundance and prosperity and blessing everywhere that it goes. I am deeply grateful for the abundance of this life, for the prosperity in each of our lives, and for how blessed we are. And I release this treatment into all that Spirit is, ever increasing, blessing after blessing after blessing. And together we say, and so it is.
All right.
Get your own private basket here, Jane. And I know that everything in these baskets is blessed, because every time we give anything, we go with the gift. There's only one, there's no way to separate it. So whether or not we're putting money in the basket, whether we've gone to PayPal, whether we are giving a smile or a hug or a chance. That energy that we are moves into the world through our giving. And what are we? But God in form as us. So I know that that energy, for me it looks like golden light, pours forth from us, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. And I know that that energy, as it moves in our life, it touches us, it blesses us, and it heals us right here and right now. And then I know that it goes around the world to touch and bless and heal every being on this planet. Always here, always now, touching every one of us here tonight, everyone who has ever been here, everyone who is watching, and everyone yet to come. And so it is.
So it is.
I love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Question about